Çöküyor. Farkındayım ama miskinliğinizi atacak kısa bir sunumla karşınızda olmak istedik. Minimize edecek bu miskinliği bir içerik oluşturduk. Umarım sizler de beğenirsiniz. İsmim Kübra Odabaş-Taşlı. Bank Pozitif'te ürün ve kanal grup başkanı olarak görev yapıyorum. Aslında konumuz şu an yaptığımız işle çok alakalı. Contextual Banking'den bahsediyor olacağım. Contextual Banking ne? Biz bunu nasıl kullanıyoruz? Nasıl kanallarımıza ve ürünlerimize embed ediyoruz? Bunlardan bahsediyor olacağım aslında. Halihazırda aslında şöyle ilerleyeyim. Pek çok kavram var zaten şu an hayatımızda. İşte embedded finance diyoruz, seamless banking diyoruz. Çok fazla aslında yeni terim var hayatımıza giren ve bunlara yönelik işte konferanslarda vesaire sizler de dinliyorsunuzdur. Aslında bağlamsal bankacılık bu kavramların hepsini kendi içerisinde izleyen, kendi içerisinde aslında barındıran bir kavram. Bağlamsal bankacılık aslında tüm bu kavramların içerisinde finansı biraz daha kişiselleştiren, birazcık daha spesifik, daha to the point bir yaklaşım getiren bir aslında bankacılık felsefesi diye düşünebilirsiniz. Faydalar, artık müşterilere sağlanan faydalar daha aslında terzi usulü olmaya başladığı bir dönemden geçiyoruz. Fayda artık herkes için fayda anlamına gelmiyor. Yani bankaların ya da perakende firmalarının yaptığı kampanyalar size uygun olmayabiliyor ya da başkasına uygun olmayabiliyor. Dolayısıyla daha to the point, daha müşteri bazlı, müşteriye özel çözümler artık hayatımıza girmesi gerekiyor. Faydanın da artık kişiselleştiği bir dönemden bahsediyoruz diyebilirim. Contextual banking ne? Aslında onu biraz açmak istiyorum. Doğru müşteriye, doğru kanaldan, doğru zamanda, doğru ürünü, doğru fiyatlamayla sunmayı amaçlayan bir yöntem. Aslında hep bir bakış açımız bizim şöyledir bankalarda. Bir ürün oluştururuz, onu rafa koyarız, sonra müşterinin o ürünü almasını bekleriz. Segmentasyon bazlı, birazdan detaylarına geleceğim. Segmentasyon bazlı onu müşteriye farklı fiyatlardan sunarız. Artık hani bu dönemden çıktığımız bir dönemdeyiz. Müşteriye yönelik, müşterinin ihtiyacına yönelik terzi usulü ürünlerin geliştirildiği ve müşteriye göre fiyatlandırıldığı, ona göre aslında belirlenen daha mikro segmentasyonlarla ürünleri hayata geçirdiğimiz bir döneme giriyor olacağız. Müşterinin ihtiyaçları, regülasyonlar, rekabet, teknoloji, ekosistem aslında bize müşterinin daha spesifik, daha müşteriye bağlı ve güvenli ürün ve hizmetler sunmamızı bizlere sağlıyor olacak. Aslında buna şundan örnek verebilirim. Sizin de rastladığınız şöyle örnekler olmuştur. Bir gün oturuyorsunuzdur mesela, önünüzde bir sponsorlu içerik düşüyordur ve o düşen sponsorlu içeriği siz dile dahi getirmemişsinizdir. Allah Allah, zihnimi mi okuyorlar acaba? Nereden çıktı bu? Ben bunu düşünüyordum, birine de söylemedim ama noktasından. Yani o dinleniyor konuşmalarımız işte tekstleniyor, sonra bize geliyor. Döneminden artık ben bunu düşünmüştüm, aklımdan geçirmiştim noktasına artık evrilen bir dönemden bahsediyoruz. Aslında bağlamsal bankacılık dediğimiz tam olarak aslında bu düşündüğümüz senaryonun bankacılığa uyarlanması olarak düşünebilirsiniz. Bunun komponentleri neler? Tabii ki de zaman, kanal, lokasyon, ondan sonra sizin geçmiş historiniz, ondan sonra geçmiş davranışlarınız ve hani mevcut kullandığınız tool'larda bırakmış olduğunuz dijital kimlik iziniz. Aslında bunların tamamı size yönelik bir bankacılık deneyimini sizlere yaşatan unsurlar oluyor. Peki, contextual banking neden var? Yani neden hayatımızda olmalı? Aslında bunlar bir ürün, bir hizmet ya da bir faaliyet geliştirmede zaten olmazsa olmaz fayda seti, gelir artışı, risk de azalma, minimize etme ve tabii ki de maliyet avantajı. Bir müşteriye yönelik kampanya çıktığınızda, bir işte segment hedefleyip ona yönelik kampanya çalışması veyahut da offer çıktığınız noktada çok fazla aslında para yakıyorsunuz yeri geliyor. Ve hani sağlanan fayda maliyet bu harcanan tutarı aslında çoğu zaman minimize etmiyor. Optimal çözümler sunmuyor. Başarı oranları %5, %10'larda kalabiliyor. Aslında doğru müşteriye, doğru kitleye, doğru tool'larla doğru bir şekilde iletişim kurmadan ve bunu müşteriye sunmaktan bahsediyoruz. Biliyorsunuz bankalarda şöyle segmentler vardır, işte kurumsal bankacılık, bireysel bankacılık, işte KOBİ bankacılığı. Sonra bu segmentlerle ilgili bankalarda organizasyonlar vardır, işte kurumsal krediler, bireysel krediler gibi. Aslında bu bağlamsal bankacılıkla beraber bu organizasyonlarda da bizler değişimler görmeye başlayacağız. Böyle büyük büyük segmentasyonlara artık yeni dönemde ihtiyaç olmuyor olacak. Şöyle düşünebilirsiniz, ben KOBİ bankacılığında çalıştığım dönemde 40 milyon cironun altı KOBİ olarak nitelendiriliyordu. 40 milyon ciro altı çok artık geniş bir segmentasyon. Yani o müşterinin sunduğu, üçüncü partiye sunduğu hizmet ne? O müşteriye onu nereden sunuyor? Ne kadara sunuyor? Neyi sunuyor? Bunlar çok artık farklı değişkenler. Dolayısıyla sadece ciroya ya da sadece lokasyona veya sadece risk grubuna göre müşterilere bir hizmet sunmak ve bunu fiyatlandırmak artık bir nevi hani old school bir yaklaşım olarak kalıyor. Organizasyonlarda da bunun yansımalarını bizler yakın zamanda görüyor olacağız diyebilirim. Şimdi halihazırda yeni kurulan bir banka olduğu için çok farklı organizasyondaki parçaları doldurmak adına çok fazla görüşmeler gerçekleştiriyoruz. Eski kurumlarımda mesela örnek vermem gerekirse mesela fraud ekipleri, yani 50-60 kişilik ekipler olduğunu da gördük. İşte daha fazla büyük büyük ekiplerin olduğunu da gördük. Ama mesela yeni dönemde 3-4 kişilik ekiplerle tamamen yapay zeka tool'larıyla beraber bunu monitör eden ve buna yaklaşan ekiplerin olduğunu da gördük. Dolayısıyla bu artık bir yerde sizin yoğurt yiyişinize kaldı. Yani sizler artık böyle 25-30 katlı plazaları dolduracak insanlarla mı hareket ediyor olacaksınız? Yoksa tamamen yapay zeka temelli bir tool üzerinden sadece monitör ederek bu decision making'i tool'ların verdiği bir dünyada mı olacaksınız ki? Bakın, bahsettiğim dünya aslında gelecek dünyadan bahsetmiyorum. Hali hazırda uygulanan, hatta şu an karşımda gördüğüm markanın uyguladığı bir şeyden bahsediyorum aslında. Hizmet veriş biçiminden bahsediyorum. Yine aynı şekilde dediğim gibi müşterinin arka tarafında risk ve collection boyutlarında da aslında yine tailor-made, yine terzi usulü çözümlerin geliştirildiği dönemlerden geçiyoruz. Maliyet optimizasyonu zaten en önemli unsurlardan bir tanesi. Tamamen burada coğrafi faktörler önemli, otomasyon ve verimlilik, odaklılık önemli ve tabii ki de piyasa trendlerini takip ederek doğru müşteri grubuna doğru hizmetler sunulması da aslında en önemli unsurlardan bir tanesi. Bütün bu aslında teorik bilgileri neden verdim? Aslında konu hiper personalizasyona geliyor. Yani hiper personalizasyon aslında yeni nesil müşteri grubumuzun aslında beklentisini ve ezizde olmasını istediği realite. Bu ne demek? Artık müşterilerin %71'i ben personalizasyon istiyorum, özelleştirme istiyorum diyor. Ve daha da büyük oranı %76'sı bunun olmaması durumunda memnuniyetsizliğe uğradığını söylüyor. Yani artık herkese aynı ürün hizmeti sunmak, herkese aynı ürünleri söylemek, aynı fiyattan vermek, size işte bir push atıp 2.49'dan, ki artık daha yüksek maliyetler, işte atıyorum 5.50'den kredi, bunlar artık özellikle Y ve Z kuşağının kabul ettiği ve benimsediği iletişim dili olmaktan artık çok uzakta. Dolayısıyla personalizasyonu bir şekilde hayata geçirmek ve buna yönelik çözümler üretmek, herkese, her müşteriye aynı hissettirmemek buradaki en önemli nokta. Biraz önce söyledim aslında. Bir ürüncü olarak beni hani üstse de bu. Aslında product based yapıdan aslında customer centric based yapıya geçiyoruz. Yani müşterinin ihtiyaçlarını merkeze koyuyoruz. Ürün yönetimleri olurdu bankaların, işte ürünleri çıkarırdı balıt balıt, işte akreditifler, teminat mektupları, X'ler, Y'ler, Z'ler, sonra onları işte belirli segmentasyonda fiyatlandırır ve müşterilerin kullanımına sunardı. Artık bu bankacılık bakış açısından çıkıp daha çok müşterinin tam olarak ne istediği, daha mikro segmentasyonlarla, daha büyük gruplarda, daha büyük kitlelere yönelik hizmet verdiği ve çözümler ürettiği döneme geçiyoruz diyebilirim. Burada zaten halihazırda artık zaten çok bu duruma aşinayız. Mesela Spotify'ın size yönelik mesela sizin için hazırlanan liste gibi önerileri oluyor ve siz zaten buna normal hayatta zaten aşinasınız, ya da Netflix'in size önerdiği %96 uyumlu dediği noktada gerçekten de önerdiği içeriklerin size uygun olduğunu, yani çoğu zaman beklentilerinizle eşleştiğini görüyorsunuz. Dolayısıyla artık kişiselleştirme bir satın alma deneyimi feature olmaktan çıktı. Olmazsa olmaz, müşteri deneyiminin, Customer Journey Map'in en önemli komponenti haline geldi. Dolayısıyla artık yani %76'lık bir beklenti oranının doğru bir şekilde karşılanması ve doğru şekilde yönetilmesinin önemli olduğu bir çağa geldik diyebiliriz. Şimdi biraz önce dediğim gibi hiperpersonalizasyon ne vaat ediyor, bu ne demek, ondan bahsediyor olacağım. Bankaların CRM birimleri var ve CRM birimleri şimdi artık birazcık daha yapay zeka, AI tool'larıyla birazcık daha offerlarını ve kampanyalarını zenginleştirdi. Fakat hani hali hazırda mevcut müşterinin dijital ayak izini değil de sadece finansal ayak izini, mesela yaptığım harcamalar, işte yaptığım kredi kartı harcamaları, yaptığım savingler işte gibi komponentlere bakarak müşteriye yönelik hizmet önerisi, çözümü geliştiremiyorsunuz. Bir yerde eksik kalıyor. O yüzden CRM kampanyalarının başarı oranlarını %100 olmuyor ya da %80'leri bulmuyoruz bir şekilde. Hep böyle yarı yarıya başarı oranlarıyla ilerliyoruz. Bunun sebebi şu: biz müşterinin finansal ayak izi haricindeki hayatını ve o gerçekleri dikkate almıyoruz. Bunu yapamıyoruz. Yani bu ne demek? Müşterinin aslında tüm harcamalarını, tüm yaşam biçimini, işte atıyorum pazar günü nereye pikniğe gittiğinden tutun da işte bayram tatilinde nereye tatile gitti ve nasıl gitti, hangi uçak yolunu tercih etti ve bunu ederken de aslında giderken ne kadar döviz bozdurduğuna kadar verileri aslında analiz ederseniz o müşterinin aslında demografisine ve harcayış biçimine sahip olabilirsiniz. Sadece yaptığı harcamalar ya da sadece finansal hareketleri size bunu vermez. Dolayısıyla bu şunu vaat ediyor: üretken yapay zeka ile beraber aslında third party verilerin bir şekilde entegre edilmesi ve bu entegrasyonlarla beraber aslında müşteriyi 360 derece analiz etmek ve birer dijital ikiz oluşturmak ve birer persona üzerinden müşterilere çözümler sunmak çok değerli olacak. Bir diğer konumuz müşterinin küratörü olmak aslında. Artık bu çok ilginç bir veri. Ben açıkçası çok buna şaşırmıştım. Bir hizmet aldığınız zaman ya da bir ürün aldığınız zaman artık kullanıcıların %55'i o hizmeti ya da ürünü direkt satıldığı kanaldan almanın peşinde değil. Yani %55'i kullanıcıların farklı kanallardan, yeter ki daha iyi deneyimle oluyor ya, bunu kabul edip third party hizmet sağlayıcılarından o hizmeti alabiliyor. Ya bunu zaten uzun zamandır hayatımızda mesela otelleri acenteler üzerinden, uçak biletlerini acenteler üzerinden alabiliyorduk. Ama bu hayatımızın geneline mal olmuş. Yani o deneyimin daha seamless olması, daha böyle hızlı olması ve daha bana personalize olması oradan tüketim yapmama daha kafi, daha yeterli, daha ikna edici beni. Dolayısıyla müşterinin küratörü olmak, müşterinin ne isteyeceğini daha geniş bir kanal, geniş perspektiften yorumlayabilmek ve ona yönelik ürünleri sunabilmek çok kıymetli ve değerli aslında bir feature. Ve kolektifin gücüne inanmak. Ya Forbes'un bir araştırmasına göre artık Y ve Z kuşağının %79'unun bir yatırım yapacaksa, bir bankacılık hizmeti kullanacaksa %79'unun bunları sosyal medyaya bakmadan yapmadığı ortaya çıkmış. Yani artık ben bunu alıyorum, bu hisseyi alıyorum, bunu yapıyorum dediği noktada tamamen artık önce bir araştırıp YouTube'dan videolar izleyip işte Twitter'dan bir bakıp işte okuyup ondan sonra yatırım kararı aldığı veyahut da finansal işlem yaptığını belirlemişler. Burada da aslında hep böyle şey olur aslında, gençlik bankacılığı, işte öğrenci kartı gibi aslında girişimler her zaman bizde zaten oldu. İşte üniversitelere yönelik kartlar çıkarttık. Ben öğrenciyken Finansbank bütün öğrencilere kart veriyordu vesaire. Bunun zaten deneyimlenmesini yaşadık. Ama şu an güncelde mesela Revolut'un -18 bankacılığı, Türkiye'de de İş Bankası'nın Maxi Genç aslında buna bir örnek verilebilir. Bunların aslında daha çok kolektifin gücü, daha mikro segment ve bunlara yönelik. Aynı şekilde şey de örnek verebiliriz. Yine İş Bankası'nın girişim bankacılığını da örnek verebiliriz. Girişim şube açması, girişimcilere yönelik şimdi bir kredi kartı çıkarttı mesela, Amazon'un kullanımının bir şekilde feature olarak sunulduğu. Bunlar mesela bu dediğimiz kolektifin gücünü keşfetmek ve bu niş alanlara hizmet vermekle ilgili doğru ve güzel örnekler diyebiliriz. Süremin doğru kullandığımı düşünüyorum. Süremin sonuna geldiğim noktada bağlarsam, aslında toparlarsam, contextual banking evet bir seamless banking veya embedded finance gibi bir bankacılık hype olarak düşünmeyin. Contextual banking aslında zaten olması gereken, evrilen ve tüketicinin beklentisini karşılayan bir yeni akım gibi düşünebilirsiniz. Dolayısıyla bunun kapısı çoktan açıldı. Yani geleneksel bankacılık ve geleneksel yapılmışı yaparak devam ettirmek ve bir şeyleri sürdürmek aslında şu an için geçmişte doğru sonuçlar verdiyse de bundan sonra doğru sonuçlar verdirmeyeceğini bizlere gösteriyor. Beni dinlediğiniz için çok teşekkür ediyorum. Sağ olun. Soru alıyor muyuz? Doldurduk mu? Tamam. Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Sağ olun.
Next up, we have a panel session under the moderation of Erhan Yazgan. I would like to invite Fatin Zacali and Fevzi Güngör to the stage to deliver their speeches on redefining payment dynamics, the instant payment experience.
Concern. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our panel. The title is very hot, actually, very current. Redefining payment dynamics, the instant payment experience. This afternoon, we have distinguished colleagues, distinguished panelists. I would like to introduce you first Miss Fatin Dali. Is it correct pronunciation?
El-Zecali.
Sorry?
El-Zecali.
El-Zecali.
Yes. Yeah, perfect.
Welcome you here. She is the head of learning and development of Department of Bank Dafar.
Correct.
She is all the way from Oman. Thank you very much participating our panel.
Pleasure.
And also my distinguished colleague from TÖDEP. He is the CEO and the founder of ÖDAL, also the board member of TÖDEP, Turkish Payment and Electronic Money Association. First, I would like to start with my colleague. Sorry, the ladies are first, but because according to the flow of the topics, I would like to start with my colleague Fevzi Güngör. Because it's the essence of our topic. As you know, instant payment in the Turkish experience, fast, which has been put in the service as of, if I'm not wrong, January 2021. This is actually the coverage of the instant payments as we see in all around the world. Especially we are following the mainly European Union regulations. Sorry. Maybe all you known about the PSD2, Payment System Directive 2. Currently, actually, they are trying to introduce the PSD3 system. Actually, I think, if I'm not wrong, they will introduce the one single definition for all payment and electronic money institutions and combine all the financial data, and they will be available for the public along the way. And recently, last February, European Council actually introduced a new instant payment regulation. It's a kind of definition there is, I think they say that the instant payments are the credit transfers, which makes people money available at the payers account within the 10 seconds of order being made. So in the less than 10 seconds, the instant payment definition, so the people's money allowed to transfer one account to the others. Maybe you are aware that, for example, if you send your money from your bank account to your bank account, so you'll see instantly you have the message from both banks, right? You send the money and you receive the money. So as a definition, the instant transfer. So it leads to Turkish fast experience. So I would like to ask a question, Mr. Fevzi Bey, I'm not saying that. What will you envision especially our and maybe the whole world's payment ecosystem evolve in the light of new current technologies like fast QR codes and digital wallets? Floor is yours.
Thank you for having me first. To start with the discussion, we have to establish the foundation first, right? So the thing with payments is that payments is not something a user, a customer, a corporation wants it on its own. It just happens to be as a back office process at the back of the envelope of another transaction, which is goods or services or a debt transaction or something like that. But so the basic idea is that this is not something of a, I mean, you don't wake up in the morning with the hopes or excitement of doing a payments transaction. I mean, you can buy an expensive thing and you wake up in the morning that you're going to buy it that day. It is expensive. I mean, it's not about the flow of the funds either, I mean, inbound or outbound, but it's a back office process. So the fundamental thing about payments is that the best payment is the one that you don't do, right? So it's more about the friction that it creates in everyday world that it needs to be minimized. The friction needs to be minimized in payments. This is one aspect to it. The second aspect to it is payments has been defined not only by Turkey but European Union as well, not as a product, not as a one company's service. It's a service of the government provided by individual companies for the sake of the government itself. So it's a government-run organization as a payments union. So of course, as peoples of the region, not only Turkey, we want everything fast. We want everything quick. We're not hasty, but we want it rapid, right? So the payments in Turkey have had developed much faster than that of EU already. I mean, we were way ahead of in terms of banks, of course, before fintechs. Our experience was much better than that of European citizens or US citizens. But fast in Turkey, I mean, in UK it's named faster. Everyone is very innovative in their names. Seems to be the missing link in payments until now, because with card payments everything was instant. Of course, the settlement was not instant, but the credit transfer was instant. Authorization was instant. In the transfers within the bank, it was instant, but across the banks, being instant provides to be the missing link for the whole value chain to be frictionless. I mean, for our clients' experience, we do the transactions, of course, instantly, 99.5% online, but the settlement needed to be done before fast. The next day, and with delays, and we couldn't provide the data, we couldn't provide the info to the recipient. But with these type of models, I believe these don't constitute too much value on their own. But when you consider the whole value proposition, okay, these are existentially important for the customer to get the value that they deserve. So when we come to the value proposition, the companies who can deliver a better experience, not only for mere payment needs, but as the whole product. I mean, by product, I don't mean the fintech product. I mean, for instance, e-commerce product, for instance, marketplace product, for instance, peer-to-peer shopping product, for instance, lending product, right? So the whole value chain is more seamless and frictionless thanks to instant payments. Of course, even before FAST, our payment model, which is EFT, named in Turkish, was pretty much similar to this, but only in working hours. I mean, similar is a bit stretch, but it was a pretty good experience. But with FAST, I mean, I don't believe there is any missing link in the whole value chain now.
Exactly. Thank you so much. As you mentioned about the very critical point of fast system. Yes, absolutely. After the pandemic, we observed the change in the customer preference. As we are all customers, we want all the payments done instantly, right? The time is money, so the fast services of the, especially I'm talking about the central bank new generation payment system, serve as a base for instant. I mean, in 10 seconds, people allow to transfer their monies one account to the other accounts. Definitely, and also the electronic fund transfer system (EFT) definitely serve as fast. But right now, with the introduction of the fast system, I think the people it will be valuable to people more because after the business hours also you can transfer the money in the nighttime or at the end of week. So it's the broad services comparing to EFT.
Yeah. Just one addition to it. I mean, the setup for FAST designed by the central bank enables fintech to join the scheme as well, right? So
exactly.
That's a huge leap for fintechs because it's one of the few infrastructures we can get access to. And we hope, as TÖDEP, I mean, TÖDEP has been playing a critical role here to enable fintechs access to infrastructures like FAST. I mean, we hope to be included in more of these infrastructures, especially on the, I mean, not to go beyond my league, but the data sharing schemes, the card schemes, and etc. That plays a critical role in the growth of the competition in the fintech area, hence providing value for individual customers.
Perfect. Yeah, it is the fast system start with the membership of the banks, but right now, as Fevzi Bey mentioned, that the payment and electronic money companies also joined the system. Also, some overlay services like easy addressing system and the high security standards introduced. I think one of the best highest standard in the world. Thank you very much. So, this is, we talk about the inside the country transfer. So, what about the cross-border transfers? I wonder how convenient still the cross-border transfers. Right now, currently, I'm observing a lot of companies making competition in that area, reducing the commissions and the prices they charge. But I think maybe it's still time-consuming and expensive. Please go ahead and explain your views. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs.
First of all, I would have to say that how honored and pleased to be here in Turkey at this very beautiful season and meeting you all. It's just a beautiful country, and I see that there is a lot of advancement. And from the panel and the companies exhibiting today, you'll notice the number of a lot of payment startups and companies. So a very intriguing question. It is significant for us to understand that financial technology came to make life easy. And as Brother Fevzi here, he mentioned how agonizing for us to make everyday payment. But financial technology came in specifically with the specter of payments, made it a little bit less agonizing for us to do payments. And I'll explain why. In the beginning, you had to go and do your payments, go into an office, take in transport. You have to pay, by the way, to get to the place where you have to pay, again, your bills and everything else. So now with the financial technology, specifically payments, you can do it at the comfort of your own home and within seconds. In fact, Brother Fevzi mentioned 10 seconds. And it's beautiful, and it's in every jurisdiction we enjoy this freedom. And not only the freedom of payment, but also with the decision-making process. We decide to take any purchase as a consumer that is suitable for us, and that is financial freedom. Speaking about this, as mentioned by our lovely moderator here, Dr. Erhan, is the fact that when it comes to our jurisdiction, making payments is easy because it is regulated. So the regulator have a say in that. It is very seamless, it's very frictionless. It makes it wonderful for us to do any transaction within the country that we are in. And where I come from, Oman, we actually have mobile to mobile. We also have Dhufar Pay. By the way, we are the first bank to launch this in the Sultanate of Oman. At the moment, it is Android-based. Apple, we're coming next for them. But then at the moment, this is where I wanted to discuss about the complexities of payment trails, as our lovely moderator asked, the cross-border payments. Now, think about it. If you would like to transfer money to a relative in another country, there is local in your own country, very easy. Everybody agrees. You can transfer within seconds. It happens in a minute. Then you have regional, and this is usually when you have partnership with the countries that you are in, whether it is the European Union or in Africa, they're doing it very well at the moment. So they transfer between the region. Then internationally, cross-border. Now with cross-border, you have different payment trails. You have to select either Apple or Swift or Visa, for instance, or Android-based as well. Now, if you are thinking about the complexities between all those payment trails, you have to choose the one that is more suitable for you. And that is usually with the collaboration of a payment fintech startup as well in your own country. So from the beginning, you notice that there are numbers of them. Are they integrated? Do they talk to each other? Is the payment done in a less expensive manner? Because at the moment, it is not perfect. I have to say that. It is time consuming. Every payment trail uses their own infrastructure. So the penetration into these payment trees is not very, very easy. Therefore, it does, ponder the question where we go from here, how we can become more efficient. And I have to be honest, we have yet to see the Bill Gates of payments. When Bill Gates started, he noted the digitization is here to simplify life. So he saw a lot of equipments in the market and then simplified it into Apple Pay, into Mac Air, iPad, iPod. So he simplified it for us. And that is the reason of digitization, making our life easy. So when we see the complexities of the cross-border payments, we noted that it is a bit not easy for us to plug in and come as a startup and make cross-border payments easy. I hope that we can see that in future, because at the moment the integration is not happening. At the moment they are not talking to each other. Every payment trail has a corporate that is benefiting from. And at the end of the day, as Brother Fabsi mentioned, it's a regulator decision as well to go for with that particular payment trail. So a lot of complexities. Some of the decisions made in this regard are very much in favor of the consumer, because there is a lot of data breaches that you are giving for those particular payment trails. But then we have to think of a solution that makes our life easy as consumers, and ensuring that you have the confidence to send money across borders. So that is something that we need to look for. I myself interested to see if this is happening in any time in my future or the children's future. I see that there is a lot of opportunity and room for improvement in this particular aspect. So yes, there is not an easy answer, I'm afraid, but we're looking forward to see if those payment trails decided to do a value proposition for the consumer. Remember that fintechs, most of them are actually failing because they are not able to customize a solution that is suitable for the consumer. So if they start doing what everybody else is doing, I'm afraid that they are imitating, and therefore the value proposition is not there. Value proposition is when you bring something to the table that is very, very different and less time-consuming and less expensive to the consumer. I'm sure that you'll agree with me, Dr. Erhan, that sending money across border is not cheap. We have to think twice about where and with whom we, decide to transact with in terms of payments.
Thank you very much for your contribution. As you mentioned, the cross-border transfer includes a lot of complexities comparing to within the country. So it involves corresponding banks and also the settlements, and so more than 2 counterparts, maybe 3, 4 counterparts collecting money, transferring money. So it adds the fees and commissions. So as you mentioned, it's actually when you making costumers' life better, so it serves in the maybe the recent how do you say, the competition, reducing the maybe the fees, and then maybe the making easier the cross-border transfers. Single European payment area project by the European Union actually serves in that sense is better. So in I think the 36 countries, you can in euro you can send money like transferring the inside the country. So maybe in the future, all around the world, we can transfer without any restriction and cross-border transfers. Thank you very much indeed.
Just a correction, I mentioned Bill Gates. Actually, I meant Steve Jobs. Apologies. Sometimes we get confused with the, tech-based, entrepreneurs and startups.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. So, I would like to move forward with the, actually, maybe we can talk about the payment ecosystem and the future of the instant payments and the payment system altogether. Actually, when talk about the fintech sector, it's all actually the combined lot of institutions, payment companies, electronic money companies, and IT service companies, regtechs, insurtechs, they include all of them makes the fintech sector together. So it's a part of the payment ecosystem. But when we talk about the payment and electronic money companies also, Mr. Fevzi Güngör, could you explain how the fintechs differentiate maybe the payment or the electronic money companies in the new ecosystem, in the payment ecosystem, and what will the key value proposition drivers for them? Floor is yours.
Thank you. So I've started up a fintech like 18 years ago now. They still are in service. Then we exited it. Then 10 years ago, I started up Ödel. So this is my second fintech founding from ground up experience. And even those two companies are fundamentally different, like 99%. Okay? I was one of the co-founders in the first one. With this one, I started it from ground up. We started the previous one from ground up as well. Probably nothing is same. The business is not same. The business model is not same. The partners are not the same. So to generalize something for fintechs is very tough. Actually, and the answer is not different for that of the banks as well, right? So, how will the banks differentiate? How will the payments companies differentiate? How will Ödel differentiate, right? So, the question is very tough to generalize and very tough to answer even for one company. But eventually, how did the fintechs create value until now might shed some light looking into the future. Okay? How did they create value? They had better user experience. They were more affordable. They were more faster, rapid. They went to the market and tested. And if it was wrong, they came back, created another hypothesis, and tested it again. So I believe that should be the way moving forward. We had a town hall meeting at the company today, and I said the same thing there as well. We don't hire people because they know something. We hire people because they have some fundamental know-how, and they can forget what they've learned, and unlearn what they've learned, and they can learn from scratch. Because what we're doing, if it's done by someone else, then somebody else does it better, and we can only be looking up to them and be a fraction of what they're providing, right? So we have to invent the company, the business model, the product every day, thinking from scratch. Well, who are we trying to, solve problems for? What are the problems we're trying to solve? And what are the possible solutions? And how can we alter the model, the business model, or the product to solve these problems in a more efficient, better, easier, faster, cheaper way? That's the way moving forward. I mean, there is no one single silver bullet that's going to solve the value proposition problem, but the fundamental way moving forward is unlearning what we have learned, as Yoda in Star Wars have said, and starting from scratch every day and thinking, does it serve my main purpose, which is serving the customers? I mean, what I do today, does it help the customer being faster, cheaper, easier? That's, of course, it's not easy in an established company. Like, I mean, in Turkey, we've seen all the industry governed by conglomerates, right? Like 20 years, 30 years ago. Every company that's owned, I mean, we still ask who owns the company, and we expect some big name which owns multiple disciplines. I mean, the largest companies in multiple disciplines, right? I mean, they own a car company, they own a white goods company, they own a bank, and etc. But the way the world has moved, of course, I mean, in countries like us, that is still in the shifting phase. But the world has moved into a phase where specialized companies govern industries, and they have nothing to do on the other side, right? As in GE in US, I mean, there's no more GE in US. I mean, they don't own multiple disciplines and dominate them all. That should be the case for the financial services as well. I mean, owning the customer and delivering everything to him will not be the answer for the future. But streamlining all the best products for a single customer might be.
Exactly. So you mentioned especially the critical point that the human resource, especially like it's current for other sectors, also is very important for the payment and electronic money companies. They lots of actually well-educated, well-trained people available in the market. But I think in our sector especially, the creative peoples are more important, I guess. So not in the sake of innovance, but making innovative products. So and serving the customers are better. In this sense, also we're talking about the future of the payment and the payment ecosystems. I think that the future will more or less shaped by the geopolitical risks and also the climate crisis. We can say that. Also, we are observing the rising of the cryptocurrencies, right? So actually, after the collapse of the Bretton Woods system, which is the gold standards, we are currently actually using fiat monies, right? Fiat monies is not backed by some valuable goods like golds and silver, but it's backed by regulation. Right, so the central banks actually issues printing monies like a legal tender, right? So, Ms. Fatin, how did you see the payment of the future, given the increasing proliferation from the fiat money to, say that, currencies, cryptocurrencies especially?
Thank you for
Thank you
the
very much.
question. I mean, if we are speaking about the payment ecosystem, we have to also ask ourselves what's happening when it comes to the digital currencies. And from an economic point of view, yes, as you have mentioned, fiat money is not backed by a value. But what about the digital currency per se? Of course, cryptocurrency is a very good invention, actually, I consider, because when it started as a student in an Islamic finance institution, the first thing we have learned about cryptocurrency, it is de-inflationary, meaning you can hold value and not lose it. However, due to the fact that some of the cryptocurrencies are very volatile in nature, you cannot see that. You see, how come? You know, it's not possible. Dr. Fatin, what you are saying, I mean, I invested in one of the digital currencies and it went down. So the fact is that the digital currencies in its form and the structure is quite okay, actually, due to the fact that you can hold your value in terms of the de-inflationary proposition that it has. So, however, there are misusers who come to this game and enter in, and what they are looking forward from in the investment is on speculative reasons. So the demand and the supply isn't really tallying up. Thinking about this, some governments came with the idea of forming their own national digital currency, which is a better way to regulate this particular digital currencies using this encryption. What I would like to see in future actually is better control on this aspect, because there is a lot of debate on it. From an Islamic finance point of view, some Sharia scholars do not actually approve of some of the currencies due to the fact that they are speculative in nature. However, if we do have the digital currency and it's tokenized in a virtual manner, then I would like to see the day in which me as a consumer going cross-border can convert my fiat money, which is usually lying there in my account, and release it, retrieve it anywhere I go. So the possibility of me having that freedom is, first of all, accessibility is easier. Plus, it holds its value. At the end of the day, fiat money, as you have mentioned, Dr. Irhan, is not backed by gold. So it is questionable to know the value of it. And the number one reason why Sharia scholars had an issue with some of the cryptocurrencies is because it actually does not derive its value from anything. It does not derive its value from anything. So that's why in a digital asset composition, you have to have a backup. You have to have an underlying asset that gives you that value. Specifically speaking from a point of view in which currencies are now fluctuating, it is important that you also have a position. You hedge your position. So hopefully we'll see that in future. I'm really looking forward in case we can do that exchange, the exchange between fiat to cryptocurrency, and then we retrieve it anywhere in the world to make it easier for us to transact. And it is the point of digital currency as well, when we started, is also about the decentralization. So if it is centralized again, it does not have the same hypothesis that it started with, that it's decentralized, de-inflationary. Whatever we have learned is not actually in practice. Whether we are going to see this in future or not, I hope we do. I mean, I am yet to see that integration happening in which I go anywhere in the world and I can, have a currency exchange for both fiat and crypto. So until that happens, we'll see how it goes. Stability in the crypto, not in all the currencies. Some of them are behaving very badly, volatile. Some of them are kind of, flat, some of them. So it depends on that particular, where we go with crypto. But the technology is there, it's very useful. And the platform where it is traded, I believe in blockchain. It is very stable. You can use it for other activities because at the end of the day, it is peer-to-peer. And it is very transparent. And that's for sure you can intrigue as a fintech and see what I can do to enhance the value to the consumer at the end of the day.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. Actually, the changing in the value of the cryptocurrencies will the risk we can deem that the financial stability. So at the same time, for the future, I think a lot of central banks issue digital currencies inside the country. So maybe we'll see not the fiat monies, maybe the cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currencies will compete in terms of availability and the acceptability. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear panelists. Very valuable contribution.
Thank you for having
Mr.
us.
Thank you so much for
Günder
having
and Fazlı Deccali. And
Correct.
thank you very much for all participating this afternoon. And I wish you all a good afternoon for the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dear valuable guests, in the session we are going to talk about the future of payments, smart payment methods, and cashless payments as well. So I would like to welcome my speakers, welcome all, and I would like to introduce them briefly. Mr. Idris is a senior manager and expert from the banking sector. He has nearly half-century experience, 49 years, and half of which are in the fintech ecosystem. Mr. Sargut from the industry, and he has 25 years experience, and starting from the banking and interbanking card center, BKM. And we have Miss Ünal, and she is also expert from the sector. She graduated from the Bosphorus University and then attended to the Carnegie Mellon for her MBA. And he is working for tech companies and fintech companies, currently working for the Belgium, and Mr. Sargut also working for the CPay today. And Mr. Idris has extensive expertise in the MENA region. So in the session, we are going to have an interactive session. I will direct my questions to my guests first, and then I will give some place to audience, especially for the younger persons, because we are going to talk about the future of payments. So here come my first questions for Mr. Idris. Could you please tell us for the future of payments regarding the opportunities and challenges? So floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank for the panelists, and thank for the audience. And it's my pleasure to be here in Istanbul. Probably this is not the first time, and hope not to be the last time. Honestly speaking, as it relates to payments in general, it's a very long journey from humanity point of view. We need to understand where we were before, how, and we reached, where are we now? it's two elements of that. It will be, I mean, the payment method and the payment instruments and platforms. As it relates to payment method, the humanity starts with what we call barter, and that was thousands years back. Then we moved to coins, using coins as a method of payment. And then there was a real shift in the humanity when the banks, checks, and I mean accounts have been transferred with the local, what we call, I mean, physical notes of currencies and coins as a method of payment. After that, we demonstrate in late 50s and 60s in the United States of America what we call the first attempt to create a new method of payment, which is the plastic card as a competitor to the cash. And then after 70s, it was, I mean, distributed among the whole globe. Now we are in the era of being advanced to a certain extent that we don't know what is next to come. But I do remember, based on my experience and witness on this stage, that the first we used the plastic card with, I mean, what they call signature embedded for, and plastic card with a chip or smart card. Then we move to the concept of, I mean, mobile payment, e-wallet. Then also we move further to e-commerce, electronic payment, OTP, what, I mean, in the meantime, as the concept of cashless payment society up to the point we are now here. To answer your question, as it relates to opportunities is huge, because always opportunities definitely are more than resources. And I believe that the financial conclusion worldwide can be in more than one category. Number one is development countries, where the financial inclusion exceeds actually 92%. Other part of the world, they are within the range of 60% financial inclusion. And in some other countries, and mainly in the emerging countries in the Middle East, where we are now here, the financial inclusion is still around 35%, which gives an indication that there is a huge opportunity for more, I mean, payment to come. I do remember when I've been exposed to the Iraqi market, that was 2018, the financial inclusion was around 15% or less only. Now it exceeds 35% within 7 years, but still it gives an indication that we do have too much opportunities in this region. In the meantime, we demonstrate now with the opportunities of payment, and mainly after Fintech, when Fintech starts or created in 2008, after the recession of the economic worldwide, where new players come and the central banks start giving license not only for banks to introduce or develop what we call payment methods, technologies. Also, financial institutions became to be, the picture, and they have licensed, and definitely they add, and they also, compete with the banks to a certain extent positively to improve this era of, e-payment and cashless payment in the region. I do really, can say in this regard, we demonstrate that definitely, and still there are of opportunities. Probably 15 years back, number of cards worldwide is used to talk about millions. Now, number of cards worldwide exceeds 14 billion cards, okay, which is more than the number of human inhabitants, under the sun. We are 8,000 billion inhabitants in the country. This is from opportunity point of view, which is open, and definitely when we are talking that we are now in the fourth revolutionary, the industrial revolution, which is digitalization. The third one was mid of 90s, where we introduced, the humanity introduced the mobile and the internet, which has a very significant, effect to improve the increase of the potential of payments, online payments, digital payments, internet payment, mobile payment, etc. In the meantime, when we talk about challenges, we have to consider the following. Based on the experience of their ecosystem, the challenges we are facing in the payment industry is number one, regulations. We have this issue that it must be, must be, aware of. We cannot go in business, we cannot continue without the regulator really approves what we are introducing, sort of methods of payments or techniques. So the regulation is one of the issues we are facing from ecosystem point of view as it relates to payment. And also, the security and risk. This type of business definitely expose the bank and the financial institutions to fraud, to penetration, etc. So the challenges, the number two is security and risk. Number three is know-how. In this part of the world, still we have faced the problem that we have an issue of the know-how, for this business. Finally, the privacy. We, as a human, we are really facing the issue and the problem of the privacy. And also to consider, we are in digitalization, era or revolution, probably for the last 10 years. Now, I believe we have put our first step on the fifth revolution, which is really in the process, artificial intelligence and the blockchain exchange network. Thank you very much. Maybe I take more than my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the valuable insights. Mr. Sargot, as you heard from Idris, so I would like to ask about the digitalization, because the current situation in the world, everything is getting digital, and then your business model is also digital. So what would be the next transformation in this business model for your company and for the next products?
Thank you very much for the question. Actually, as you said, as long as the digitalization accelerates, the world of the financial technology is also developing with a huge speed. As fintechs, what we are doing right at the moment is we are not offering only new, reliable, fast solutions, but also we try to concentrate for the new solutions by using the big data with the blended AI technology. Let's look at the short history of the fintechs, how it started. If you are in fintech business, then you can offer a card to consumers, and from the corporate point of view, you offer a POS device for the e-commerce business, or otherwise for the in-store transactions, a physical POS device. What do the fintechs do at that point is, normally every company can get a POS device. However, fintechs come up with a new solution by saying that, okay, with one contract, you can have all different type of companies' loyalty programs. On the other hand, of course, if you think about the payment process, there are two parties. One of them is the payee, the other one is the payer. What does payer want? He or she wants to complete the transaction immediately. The payee wants to get the his money, in return of the service or goods delivered. For this purpose, the consumers have the cards, but they can also use it with the help of a wallet. The digitalized wallet, over there. What they can do with this wallet, they can upload money inside of it, and afterwards they can make utility payments, they can ask for a loan, and etc. Of course, the same thing also happens for the corporate side. They would like to see also their transactions, their transaction movements, and etc. They also have the wallets. Is it enough? Not. Right at the moment, the personalized solutions is critical over here, and over there, new solutions like banking as a service and also embedded finance will be the new methodologies that will be on our plates. But it's not enough. On the other hand, yes, we are trying to find new solutions, but the regulators' support, the synergy with the regulator is critical at that point, especially in the local market. Let's look at the last few years' developments. Thanks to Interbank Card Center and also Central Bank of Turkey, they played a big role, especially in the market. They worked as a business development team in the market. They come up with a new payment system, which is fast system, which makes people make their money transfers 7 days, 24 hours. And afterwards, QR codes are also in place for the usage of the consumers. But the critical thing is over here, we try to give the best solutions for the customers, for our customers. And in the near future, I think, as one of the colleagues on the previous panel mentioned, that blockchain technology is going to be an important technology. I'm not talking about the cryptocurrency part. I'm talking about the processes. We can make the processes more reliable, more controllable by using this methodology. And I think that's it right at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much again for the valuable opinions. Now, Ms. Ünal, as a representative of a municipal fintech company, you have heard about the challenges and opportunities in a rapidly changing world. So I wonder what would be your reaction function to this challenging environment as your corporate strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. For the audience, I would like to give the context from where we look at payments industry. Belvin is a Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality subsidiary and is the issuer of Istanbul Card. So the most critical issue for us was the digitalization of Istanbul Card, actually. I mean, we are coming from the plastic card. We are coming from Akbil. Everybody still knows the name Akbil. If you wanted to name a challenge, it's one of the challenges we are still dealing with. But in the last 5 years, we had the privilege of succeeding the transformation of Istanbul Card into a digital environment. We launched our mobile application, and now it is possible to transport from one side of Istanbul to the other part of Istanbul with your mobile application without needing a plastic card. That we achieved by changing the validators, which are actually the POS system that the mass transit system requires. So the digitalization is very important for us. It is going to be in our radar for the coming years as well. I mean, there is no end to it. Being a fintech company, actually all the changes you are enjoying are from the technological developments. And of course, there is another axis, which is regulation. So being a fintech company gives us the opportunity to enjoy all the technological development, of course, as long as you can adapt them to your system. But of course, there has to be the regulation part so that you can give those services to your consumers. So one aspect for us, one challenge for us was digitalization, and I believe that we have covered the larger part of it. But of course, now having a wallet in our mobile application, our next challenge is to increase the use of this wallet for non-transit payments. We took the first steps in the first 5 years of our service, and now having the opportunity to serve for another 5 years, we are going to expand that area. We started non-transit payments with our partnerships with major banks in Turkey, and so that our plastic Istanbul cards can be used in payments at major retailers or fast food restaurants. But in the very near term, it is going to be possible to use Istanbul card as a card with a scheme on it, with MasterCard logo. So it is going to be used in all payment services. You'll be able to do e-commerce payments with your Istanbul card. You will even be able to use your Istanbul card outside of Istanbul, outside of Turkey borders. Of course, I think being a company whose major service is payments in transit, the mass transit payments brings us other challenges, such as, we are processing more than 8 million transactions per day. You have to be very fast. Your systems need to be very robust to handle transactions which are usually at peak hours. In the morning rush hours, after work rush hours. So, you have to have a very good technology. But besides that, you have to introduce new payment facilities as well. For example, wearable technologies for transit payment, or biological payment, biometric payment systems are going to be the feature of payment, of course, as long as the regulation permits us. And for fintechs, which is if I need to emphasize common challenges that we have as a fintech company, of course, all B2C fintech companies are serving the same services. For example, fast, everybody has it now. Micro lending, everybody has it now. But who's going to be the winner? Of course, there's going to be a competition. You have to be providing the experience, the customer experience is going to be the challenge for all fintech companies in the near future, because it is a very crowded, it's a very competitive environment. But as I said in the very beginning, I think the technological developments such as AI, tokenization, digitalization, etc., is going to bring us more developments in the future.
So in this context, I have understood that your company is going to attract global presence. At least you have said, why we use an Istanbul card in Istanbul and why don't we use it in another city, for example, Berlin or London, I don't know. So if you can share your insights regarding how are you going to attract international customers, and also if you can give us some specific examples regarding the product development in your company, that would be great.
Istanbul is a city that's attracting more than, millions of tourists every day, every year. Firstly, and it's the most crowded city of Turkey. We are serving the citizens of Istanbul, which means we are serving Turkey, because the population living in Turkey is on the records is 16 million, but we know from our records that we have active 25 million customers, which means we are accepting more than the population that's living in Turkey. That's giving us a huge leverage to extend our services outside the boundaries of Istanbul, because people living in Istanbul are traveling. A lot of people are traveling into Istanbul, and they have basic needs. I mean, we have a wallet which is having an Istanbul card, and why not make other payments with that wallet? I mean, you don't need another payment method, which, I mean, you can do all your payments with mass transit payments, your instant payment, which are we are enriching our mobile application with fintech services as well. So we are hoping to become a single stop mobile application.
Thank you very much for the specific explanation. Mr. Sargut, as you know, in some sectors, the first mover advantage is a valuable asset. So CPay got the open banking license last year. Would you like to tell something about this opportunity?
Actually, thank you very much for the questions. Yes, as you mentioned, that we are the first e-money and financial payment institution company that got this license. Of course, this license brings the customer in a new environment, which means that right at the moment, the customer may have different accounts in varying banks. But with the help of the open banking, it gives the ability to follow up all these accounts, all his or her accounts in one application. As CPay, we try to provide full-fledged services to our customers, and this is one of the most critical parts of this, I mean the open banking part. Of course, right at the moment, with this functionality, the users can see the account movements, that's fine, in other banks, and also they can start the money transfer transaction at that point. But we would like to go beyond that. What I mean is, okay, everybody can does it, but to offer the right product and the right time to the customer is critical at that point. Right at the moment, what I mean with this, right at the moment I have, for example, let's assume a customer who has 3 accounts in different banks. Okay, I get all this information to my app. I can analyze it and I can come up with good solutions, value-added solutions to our customers. But this is not only with my products. It can be also other providers' product. What I mean? Let's assume a customer with 3 accounts, again, maybe 1 year ago, he was in need of a credit and got a credit from Bank X. We would like to come up with this type of value-added service by saying that, dear customer, at that time, yes, you had that credit, fine, but at that time, Bank Y was providing more advantageous credit. Okay, that can be done. You are almost at the end of the payments, at the end of your credit payment, and if you are in need of a credit right now, okay, here is a new opportunity for you, but Bank X or Bank Z is offering more advantageous one. Those type of things. Especially since as CPay, we would like to be the financial super app, and this is going to be one of the most important services for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Idris, as you know, because you are a senior leader in the banking and fintech sector, we build future from today, and we learn from the past experiences to generate the future. And I would like to give the last but not least word to you regarding the takeaways for the audience and for us for the future of payments?
Okay, thank you very much. The future for payments, I mean, I do like to remember what COVID-19 did for payment. Everybody remember, I mean, COVID and the pandemic. The word positive was the most negative message for anybody during that period. In the meantime, we have to admit that the pandemic give, I mean, a sort of acceleration for the adoption of the e-payment. And the fact I know by heart, I mean, among the emerging countries in the region, probably, and also in South America, Africa, I mean, and also part of Asia. In Jordan, I do witness during the pandemic, Central Bank of Jordan in 2017, I'm sorry, they give a license for 4 financial institutions to issue mobile e-wallet service for the public. And he granted that license for 4 companies only, not banks, financial institutions, private sector. 4 years, they managed to issue only 130,000 wallets, the 4 companies. During 3 months only, in the pandemic era, the central bank and the government decided really to support the poor workers and poor families with funds. But due to pandemic restrictions, you cannot do cash currency, you cannot do cash notes. So the only solution was available for the government and the beneficiaries is the mobile e-wallet. Within 3 months and less than 3 months, this number increased from 130,000 wallets or e-wallets to 400,000 for a country citizens are almost around 10 million inhabitants. This is positiveness of, the pandemic for the payment industry. Now, I will go back for the 4th industrial revolutions we demonstrate as a humanity. The first one was a stream in the 18th century. And it took 100 years to move from steam revolution to the electricity revolution, which was in the 19th century, late 19th century, 100 years. From the second revolution, which is electricity, to the third revolution, which is information revolution, which took place in mid of 90s, also it takes around 100 years. But from the third revolution, information revolution and digitalization, it took only 15 years, only 15 years. We are, again, what I mentioned in my first answer, we are in step of the 5th revolution, which is artificial intelligence and blockchain. What I believe now, the method of payments is really almost cashless. We have the mobile payment e-wallet, and what is the most important, based on my real experience, now this device is the magic. This device is simply saying for everybody that the whole world is in your hand. This device is my method of payment, and it is my payment platform, where even if you are a card holder, you don't need the physical card to use, you can embed this card number on your mobile. This means that this device is going to be the future of methodology of payments, method and also, in the meantime, the artificial intelligence and the blockchain will going to add for that features, and this is, I believe, everybody who needs to start, and they are already start the investment in this direction. to invest in the cashless payment, smart payment technologies, using the mobile as the method and the platform for this technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I promised, now the floor is for the audience. I mean, if there are any questions from the, no offense, from the younger generation, we are here to answer, maybe myself, maybe the other speakers. So floor is for the audience. Any questions?
Thank you very much. It may be a challenging question, but what is your opinion about what is the next big thing after Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain for the future of payments? What is your opinion about what is the next big thing after them?
It's a billion-dollar question, I think. So, as a regulator, I'm not able to answer this question, but I would like to give the floor to my speakers. Please go ahead.
Actually, I can say that virtual reality is critical part over there right at the moment. The world is concentrating at that part, and the payments will be the part of it. Due to that reason, SCPay, we are concentrating on that area.
Ms. Ünal?
I lost my microphone, so I think there is no next big thing. I mean, technology it's not going to stop. There's always going to be a new technology. Since AI is the new thing now, everybody is trying to adapt it, especially for the amount of data we are collecting daily. It's very critical. But I think the basics are going to be very important in the future as they are right now. And the basic is better service, I mean, better customer experience. For example, the embedded finance technology is a result of a better customer experience. Why go to another payment institution when I can make my payment at the point when I need it? So I think whatever the technology, whatever the hitting technology is going to be in the coming, but maybe we don't know right now, the basic is going to be better experience. As a marketing person.
Thank you. Okay, and I will take it from two, perspectives. Number one, I believe what's going on now with most of the central banks is the digital currency at every country level. So this is the stage now. Most of the banks central banks are working on a digital currency at the central bank level, at the country level. Definitely, as it relates to cryptocurrency, still there is a lot of debate about, what are the proper regulations really to manage and operate this type of service. But for the way I foresee the challenge for banks and financial institutions is the digital transformation process. Most of the banks and financial institutions, based on my direct experience, by the way, I'm not an IT man, and I'm not a good user of my mobile, I'm not a good user of my laptop. But I am, a right witness of what's going on. The challenge for most of the banks and the financial institutions is what are the pillars of the digital transformation. Everybody's talking that they are in the process to do digital transformation. Most of the banks and financial institutions problem or the challenge they are facing, based on my experience directly with that, is the IT people and the chief information people, the chief technology people, name it, and I hope they are not going to make, negative statements against me. They eliminate the digital transformation with technology only. It's not. This is my advice. in this session. Digital transformation is based on 6 pillars. Number 1 is the governors, you, an institution. Number 2 is your real assets, the employee, the staff who is going to do it. Number 3 is your valuable, customer, who is the purpose of your business, the customer journey, how you will move your customer from A to Z level. It's not overnight. So you must take into consideration how you peacefully and safely and professionally moving your client from stage now to the digital transformation stage. Number 4 is definitely your technology, your platform. Also, in the meantime, without being innovative, you cannot really complete the cycle. And finally, is your operating system. You need to really put all these pillars in one idea and all together to work in this. This is my advice. Thank you very much.
As a last word, I would like to answer the question. As not a regulator, but a consumer. As you know, we are all human. In the past we have some needs, and today we have some needs. Sorry. In the future we are going to have some needs as well. So whoever solve my pain points seamlessly, that will be winner, I think. So I think the technology can change. The next big thing would be another technology. I don't know, but the point is that whoever wins the customer, who will win the next big thing. Thank you very much to my guests and the audience for their patience. Thank you.
Açıldı mı ses? Our next session is keynote session. I would like to invite Babatunde Obrima, Chief Operating Officer of the Fintech Association of Nigeria, to deliver his presentation.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, I'll be talking to you about the Nigerian fintech ecosystem. I've got some slides. I might not exactly follow them so let me start with what is fintech. So for us in Nigeria, fintech is about digital inclusion. So if you're thinking payments, we think beyond payments. I'm sure nobody woke up this morning and said, this morning I'm going to pay MasterCard. Anybody like that here? Or I want to pay PayPal. Anybody like that? What do you pay for? I'm sure when you paid for transport to get here, right? You paid for food at that counter. You pay for shelter, you pay for health, you pay for education. That's what you pay for. So for us, we're an inclusive association, and we are proud to say that in Nigeria today we have 5 unicorns, the biggest of them being Flutterwave. The first of them was InterSwitch. And for Nigeria, our membership is diverse. So for payments, we have 38% in payments, 23% in lending, 15% in investment, 13% in ICT, 8% in crypto, and 3% in insurance. What does this tell me? The last question the person asked, what's the future of payment? The future of payment is the interplay of fiat, CBDCs, stable coins, and cryptocurrency. That's the future of payment. There's going to be the need for all of them to interact. It's what's going to be the future of payment. So in Nigeria, about our membership, when you look at Nigeria, what has happened, it's a very dynamic space when it comes to fintech. Investments have gone from $52 million in 2017 to $1.2 billion in 2022. We all know what happened in 2023. Investments dipped, and it was $348 million in 2023. In the first quarter of 2024, we already have $466 million investment in Africa, with Nigeria leading with $160 million. Also, in terms of electronic transactions in Nigeria, in 2020, electronic transactions was less than $200 billion. Last year, we closed with $600 billion in electronic transactions, and in the first quarter of 2024, with $237 billion. So it means that in 2024, we're likely to close likely with $1 trillion in electronic transactions. So what drives the Nigerian ecosystem? One, regulatory environment. The regulators are quite, when I say proactive, they make sure that once something new comes up, they're also coming up with their own regulations. So it's a highly regulated space. Also, the availability of funding and investments. Of course, talent pool and technical experts, that's becoming a challenge because we've had a lot of people drifting to Europe and to America and to Canada. We call it JAPA in Nigeria. And then, of course, the digital policies. There's a startup draft in Nigeria. So today, we have 250 fintechs in Nigeria and 7,000 startups. That's what we have in Nigeria. So what should drive? So when you look at Nigeria, we spend more on food, 56% on food, 6 on transport, 6.4 on transport, 6.1 on health, 6 on education. That's where people spend their money. So for us, we believe that what are the new places for investment in Nigeria? The verticals. I think that payment is saturated, lending is almost saturated. It doesn't mean that there are no opportunities there. There are gaps if you can identify the gaps and plug into them. But the verticals have a lot of potentials. Take insurance, for example. We are 200 million people, and there's only 3% insurance penetration. That means that there's room for 97% for insurance. So if you're an investor or a fintech, InsurTech should be a place to look at if you're looking at Nigeria. We can feed ourselves. So agri-tech is a place to look at. Education, lots of gap. When there was COVID, all our schools shut down. Whereas in some climes, people went home and continued schooling. For health tech, we have a lot of gaps. A lot of Nigerians come to Turkey for healthcare. So there are a lot of opportunities in the verticals if you want to come into Nigeria. So what are the future outlooks? Blockchain, AI, open banking. We're just trying to look at AI now, and there's a committee that's been set up to look at AI strategy for Nigeria. Of course, increasing collaboration between financial institutions and fintechs. We're seeing a whole lot of that. In Nigeria, it's a bank-led financial system, so no fintech can conclude. When I say conclude, fintechs can't go to clearing, so they need banks. So there's that collaboration between banks and fintech. It is forced by the central bank, technically, if you put it that way. Also, we have Nigeria is a potential hub for the African continent, and it's a niche for data management, climate technology. So the opportunities in Nigeria are quite huge. Like I always say, we have 200 million people. So if you have a solution that our people want, you can't go wrong, because you have 200 million people who are going to be patronizing you. 40 million Nigerians are not yet financially included. So that's an opportunity for investments in Nigeria. We think that Nigeria is an investment destination. If you're looking at fintechs, it's a place to be. You can't go wrong with numbers. You can't go wrong if you have the right solution. Thank you very much.
And next up, we have a panel session under the moderation of Gökhan Uğur Bağcı. I would like to invite Ari van den Bergen and Ali Reza Sidat to the stage to deliver their speeches on navigating the legal landscape legislation of payment services.
Hello everyone, welcome to our session. But it's unlucky for us, I guess, because the time is going and everybody is leaving, going somewhere else. But we will do our best. Today we're gonna talk about the legal aspects of fintech law especially. I have two important guest speakers in here. One is Ari and one is Ali Reza. Welcome again. Thanks for accepting our invitation and come here. They have really deep knowledge about the fintech law. I just little bit explain what they did up to now. Ari is a lawyer at Dutch law firm Finnick. He is the owner and the partner of the firm. He has over 20 years experience in fintech area. Maybe he can little bit explain before his presentation. And the Ali Reza as well, same with Ari. He has been providing legal services more than 13 years, especially he is an expert, German expert in fintech law. I think he will be a little bit explain himself before his presentation. By the way, as you understand, we will have some presentation for you here. Nearly 10 minutes for each guest. We'll give you presentation and then we can take your question if you have. If you don't have, I have some question I will ask. So we can start with Ari.
Yes, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I also have a presentation. I don't know. There it is. So my name is Ari van den Bergen. I'm going to stand up. And I'm a Dutch lawyer at Finnick Legal, and I specialize in providing legal and regulatory advice to fintech companies. And I'm also working on a couple of license applications of EMIs and payment institutions with the Dutch Central Bank. So I have a lot of knowledge about payment services, and recently there was a proposal for a new PSD3 and PSR being published, and I will tell you a little bit more about it. PSD2 is already 9 years old when it entered into force. PSD1 and PSD2 created a harmonized legal framework for payment services across Europe. It has now been investigated. There have been some consultations, and some areas of improvement were identified. And the European Commission has published a proposal in June last year. And the proposal fits into a larger framework, the EU Retail Payment Strategy and the EU Digital Finance Strategy. And the idea is to make European payment and finance services more innovative and also more secure and robust. So the final legislation is expected to be published somewhere next year. This week, the European Parliament has already discussed the proposals and also approved the proposals. So it's really going the right way. But once it will be published, it will still take another 18 months before the publication, before the entry into force of the PSD3 and PSR. So then the question is, what is it all about? I'm not going to cover all of the topics because there's too much to discuss, but there are four main objectives. The first one is to strengthen user protection and the confidence of payments. There have been a lot of fraud cases in Europe. Consumers don't feel comfortable in using some of the payment methods, and the European Commission wants to improve that. The second one is the competitiveness of open banking services. I will come back on that later. The third one is to improve the enforcement and implementation of PSD3 in the member states. PSD2, although it created a harmonized framework, was still applied differently across member states, and the idea is with a regulation that is directly applicable, the differences will diminish, if not disappear. And the fourth one is to improve the access to payment system and bank accounts for non-bank payment service providers. I have a lot of clients who are facing problems. Those are payment institutions or e-money institutions, and they're facing problems if they want to open a bank account. And that should not be the case, and therefore the proposal changes some of those rules. So to start with the first one, the user protection and confidence, I think a very important proposal is the introduction of a confirmation of payee service, which matches the name with and the IBAN with a person, so you know that it's not a fraudulent payment. And that will be the case for all credit transfers taking place in Europe, and importantly will be free of charge. The second one is to increase the fraud prevention, and there will be obligations imposed on payment service providers on providing information on how to prevent fraud. Transaction monitoring must be further enhanced to also take into account the customer behavior. Maybe if the authentication has some problems or is strange, that there's something wrong is going on, and to improve training programs for employees. The next one is the possibility for payment service providers to voluntarily enter into data sharing agreements with other PSPs to share payment fraud data. Obviously, that will need to comply with privacy regulations, so there should be a data privacy impact analysis conducted, and if necessary, also consultation with the privacy regulator. The fourth one is availability of cash. So it seems like, especially in rural areas where there are no cash machines, customers do not always have access to cash, and therefore the proposal is to introduce a new exclusion to the license requirements for cashback in retail stores when making a purchase. Then also part of those new rules is new liability provisions for PSPs. One is if the technical service providers and operators for payment schemes fail to support strong customer authentication, they will be liable. Apparently there were some problems in some cases. The technical service providers or the operators of payment schemes did not cooperate, it didn't work well, and this is the solution. The next one is a liability for payment service providers if the confirmation of payee service doesn't work as it should. Well, that's for obvious reasons. And the last one is the reversal of liability for spoofing. Spoofing is when someone is pretending to be a bank employee and then trying you to make a payment which you think is a normal payment, but it actually is a fraudulent payment. And a lot of customers experienced, were subject to frauds, and they should be protected, and therefore the PSP should do more to prevent the spoofing from happening. And the last one is that the strong customer authentication measures should be available for all customers, including elderly or people who have troubles with using, for example, a smartphone. And this could impact the user experience, because there are a lot of banks who only offer their services through a mobile phone and not through like an identifier or similar devices. So that is actually an obligation which may have a lot of impact for PSPs. Then moving on, the second goal of the proposal is to improve the competitiveness of open banking. The first one is to introduce minimum requirements for open banking data interfaces. And then we're talking about security requirements, response times, the features that those open banking interfaces should have. The next one is that there is the introduction of a list of prohibited obstacles to a data access. The idea is that the payment initiation service providers or similar users should have the same functionality as the bank, the normal bank customer relationship should be. The next one is that the banks no longer need to maintain a fallback data access interface. It was a problem for most banks to have two interfaces at the same time, the regular interface and a fallback interface. So it means that this will not be necessary anymore. The next one is that the account information service providers should provide their customers with dedicated permission dashboards, so the customer can see who he actually gave permission and for what purposes, so they have an overview of what is going on with their data. And the next one, I already said that PSD3 and PSR is part of a bigger proposal. One of the things is the financial information data access regulation, which also introduced a similar regime to open banking, but then not just for payment data, but also for other data like mortgage data or other lending data, or like any data that financial institutions have may be shared through that new, the interfaces that will be part of that FIDA framework. Then I already said that PSD2, although there was harmonization, didn't achieve that goal in full. Therefore, the idea was if we introduce a regulation, it will be directly applicable. Another thing is that there are currently two regimes. One is for payment institutions and one is for e-money institutions. And the idea is, since they are closely related to each other, to integrate them into one harmonized framework. Some of the exceptions to the PSD2 are being tightened. The idea is to better protect the customers. I think Alireza will say some more on that. We're talking about commercial agent exclusion and limited network exclusion. And there will be some specific provisions on penalties that may be up to 10% of the annual turnover of the PSP in like the worst case scenario. Then there were some ambiguous elements in PSD2 that are clarified by updating some of the definitions. And very importantly, with PSD3, all the existing payment and e-money institutions will need to reapply for a license. It doesn't mean to do the full license again. It's just the things that are changing, but obviously that always gives the regulator an opportunity to also ask additional questions or maybe impose some additional requirements on the payment and e-money institutions. So we'll have to see how that works out in practice. And then the last pillar of the proposal is to improve the access to payment systems and bank accounts for the PSPs and the e-money institutions. One thing that PSD2 already had was that the rules on the access to those payment systems should be proportionate, objective, transparent, and non-discriminatory. Still, we saw that most payment and e-money institutions had trouble in opening up a bank account because it was just deemed to be burdensome, too costly for banks, so they just didn't, most banks didn't want to facilitate that. So the proposal includes for payment system operators to have those rules in writing, but also that the payment and e-money institutions should get direct access to all the systems under the Settlement Finality Directive. And that would, for example, include Target 2, which also means that you don't need to have a bank to get access to those payment systems anymore. Then if you want to open a bank account, the banks are becoming under closer scrutiny, because if they want to refuse or close a payment account, that should be on serious grounds, and then you can think of, for example, AML breaches, illegal activities, if there's a material breach of contract, if there's no cooperation or information being provided, if the risk profile is excessive, which is not the same as a high-risk profile, or if the license is refused or withdrawn, but that's for obvious reasons. So it also means that there will be a possibility to appeal to the central bank if you're being refused or not being offered with a payment account. So hopefully this will make it easier for payment and e-money institutions to get a payment account. That's all I had to say for now on the PC3 and PSR. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ari. Now, Ali Reza will explain a specific country sample like Germany, and yes, the stage is yours. Yeah, thank you.
Now? Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone, it's Ali Reza. First of all, thank you, Gökhan. Thank you for having us here. Thanks to TÜDEP, who invited us to be here today with you to talk to you and to present to you a little bit about what we are doing from the Netherlands perspective, but also from the German perspective. As Gökhan was saying, I'm a German-based lawyer. I'm active in the fintech and payment industry, but I'm also doing a lot of things with crypto and blockchain. This is why I'm also looking at payment and crypto at the same time. But today I'm only talking about payment. So, whilst Ari was talking about the PSD and the PSR, I want to focus a little bit more on how this applies to Germany and how the German law, as most of you know, is one of the toughest, some would say gold-plating law within the European Economic Area, is applying the PSD already. So the PSD, the new PSD and the PSR are going to change a lot within the European Economic Area. However, in Germany, I would say we're a little bit ahead compared to other neighboring countries within the European Union. We are a little bit ahead because many things which are coming with the PSD3 and the PSR, we already have in place. So, for instance, the PSD and the PSR originally, or the PSD originally, was only looking at the regulation aspect. But we not really look at the civil law aspect. And now we are putting civil law and regulation next to each other. So in other words, if you, for example, a technological service provider or your payment service provider, and you have your terms and conditions in place, in Germany we have a specific law, which is a German civil code, which is regulating how the terms and conditions have to look like. For instance, if you deal with retail and you're changing your terms and conditions, your customers have explicitly to accept the new clauses. You cannot just change your terms and conditions and send an information letter to your clients. This is case law in Germany since a couple of years already, and this is something which we will going to face, I think, with the PSD and the PSR for the entire European Economic Area, having strict rules on civil law and on regulation next to each other. The second thing which is already in place in Germany, we talk about exemptions. So on one side we talk about getting a license to provide your payment services. On the other side there are situations, exemptions when you do not need a license. One of these exemptions is the so-called limited network exemption. The other one is the limited product exemption, and the other one is the commercial agent exemption. All of these exemptions nowadays have in common that each member state within the European Economic Area is applying it a little bit different. For instance, something maybe in Netherlands allowed, so it would not need to have a license for doing that, whilst in Germany you would need to have a license. And this makes it a little bit tricky. For instance, you have a payment service provider who's located in Amsterdam and wants to provide the services to a platform which is having customers in Germany. So then you have to think, okay, is a commercial agent exemption from the Netherlands applying, or is it the rules of the German law applying? In most cases, it's the law of the host state applying. So this is the country where you provide your services, where you service the clients. And this is going to be harmonized more and more with the PSD and PSR. So for those of you who are familiar with the German law, maybe a little bit ahead because there's maybe not that much new coming to you. And this is basically something very good because in the European Economic Area we follow the so-called single market approach, which means that the entire European Economic Area should be one market and not different regulations, so that players can do the so-called regulatory arbitrage. So this said so much about that. I don't want to take too much time because we're going to also have some spare time when we'll have discussions. So the last slide you see here, I've put here three things which are important when you want to do business in Germany. So one thing which is important for you to understand is that the regulator in Germany is called BaFin. The regulator in German, BaFin, is a very tough regulator. Some would even say the toughest within the European Economic Area. But which is also maybe positive because, as the famous song of Frank Sinatra says, if you can make it in Germany, you can make it anywhere, which means if you want to really put the standards high and you try to follow the standards of the German regulator BaFin, this may help you actually to be compliant within the whole European Economic Area. So the German regulator BaFin is taking care of all payment services provider of anyone who wants to provide actively its services to the German market. The good thing about the German regulator is, which many people don't know, you can really talk to the German regulator. If you want to do your business, let's say your company in Turkey, and you want to provide your services cross-border and you do not know if you need a license, or maybe you have a cooperation partner, a German cooperation partner, and you don't know if your services would need to have a license in Germany, you can either call yourself the German regulator, you can write an email, you can have a WebEx, a Teams, a Zoom call with the German regulator, explain your business to the German regulator, and then see if you need a license or if you are maybe exempted. And this is, I think, something special because not all the regulators within the European Economic Area are like this. So on one hand, BaFin is very tough. On the other hand, BaFin has a hands-on approach so you can show your case and then try to get permission or like a no-action letter and then do the business. And what I said before, this so-called active solicitation, which is very important. Active solicitation actually means that you do not necessarily need to have a license if you want to provide your services to the German market. Because you only need a license if you're actively providing your services cross-border. So if you do not have an office in Germany and you do not have any people on the ground in Germany, but you provide your payment services or your technological services to the German people because the German customers ask you to do so. So let's say you have a web page or you have an app and someone from Germany, it could be Turkish people who live in Germany, are asking for your services, you are allowed to service them. You do not need to have a license. This is called the so-called reverse solicitation exemption, which means if a customer in Germany is asking for your service by its own exclusive initiative, then you're allowed to provide the services without the license having in Germany, okay? And the final thing, okay, if you want to understand how the German regulation really works, we have German law, we have German case law, but I think what is very important, the German regulator BaFin is publishing information on its webpage. Many of that information is also available in English. I'm not sure if you're sharing the slides with the listeners or if they can see it, but these two red links, they are hyperlinks. So if you get the slides, you can just click on it and then you get to the main source and you can read it. It's very good for those who are lawyers or maybe those of you who are working in a fintech or payment company and who have some knowledge with law. You do not always need to have a German lawyer. You can read most of these things by yourself. So much said. If you're still interested in what we are doing, we have a web page which is called Paytech Law, paytechlaw.com. We have most of the stuff in English. We have blogs, we have podcasts, we have videos. You can check it out. And if you want to contact me, you find me on LinkedIn or just drop me an email. And now I think we go back and talk together in the panel.
Thank you so much. And by the way, I think you're okay with sharing your presentation. And if you're okay, please give your email address to Tödepstan and then we can share with all presentation to you. Actually, I was wondering one thing. As we all know, a company wants to enter a new market. The first rule we're checking, I mean the fintech companies, do I need a license or not? You explained a little bit in your presentation, but maybe we can a little bit more talk about this issue. I have an e-money company in Turkey, license in Turkey. What should I do if I want to make some operation in Germany or maybe in a whole Europe? Maybe we can start with you, Alriza, and then if you can add something about your view.
Okay, sure. I think the first thing which is very important is that you need to clarify if you want to have your people in Germany on the ground. And you can have the people on the ground by setting up, for example, a subsidiary company, or you can have a rep office. I was once working with a Turkish company that only had a rep office in Berlin. And if you have a rep office, it really depends what your people on the ground are doing. For example, if your people on the ground are only there for compliance reasons, education reasons, but they do not actively provide the services and sell the services, as I said before, you don't need any license. But if you want to do the business really actively and provide actively your services, for example, with a rep office or with a subsidiary, then you either need to have your own license, or what you could also do, you could be the tied agent under a company which has a license within a European Economic Area. We see this model also happening a lot in Germany, where a company in East Europe, for example, is your umbrella. You get the white labeling solution from them, so becoming the tied agent, and then you provide your services in Germany. This is most of the time better, because if you want to apply for full license, and you can elaborate a little bit on that area, the process to get the license is quite tough, but what is very important is that you need to have planned figures for the next 3 years, and you have to show how you can become, with your product and with your services, break even, which means after 3 years you should make some profit. And this is not that easy if you want to enter the market and you do not have any experience with the commercial background of the industry. But Arya, please elaborate on that.
So I think having a good business plan is of most importance, because the regulator will closely look at all your assumptions and see whether what you present is actually viable and makes a profitable business in the longer run. So not just making figures profitable, but also having a close look at the underlying business plan. And then if you look at the documentation, there's a long list of documentation that needs to be provided. But I think it's very important before you actually submit that you only do that when you're confident that everything is in order and the way you like to see it. Because what I often see is people want to go to the market as fast as possible. They're rushing with the application. Then in the end, it doesn't give a good impression to the regulator if, for example, there are errors in the documentation or you didn't think it through properly. So a good preparation is, I think, of utmost importance. Then if you look at the contents of the application, well, there are many things to look at, but I think the governance is one of the most important ones. So you need to have a solid 3 lines of defense model which works sound and have a good risk management with like risk analysis being conducted by compliance and risk directors, because in the end the regulator wants to see that your business is safe and sound. So they're going to ask questions on your governance and on your risk management. So I think that's very important. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. I have more questions, but I want to ask to audience if you have any question. We can follow yours, or I'm gonna ask mine. Yep. Can.
Hello. Sorry. Well, actually my question is about forum shopping. Could you please give a bit information about forum shopping and how it is going to be affected after PSR and PSD3? Because I know that there were some articles that were aiming to deal with it, and maybe this would be something like expanding Mr. Gökhan's question. So when we think that a company would like to operate in Europe, not a specific country in Europe, but all over the economic area, how should it react, and which steps it should be taken by taking account this forum shopping matter as well?
Yes. Thanks for the question. I think forum shopping will always, to some extent, remain, because like regulatory work is like man-made work, and regulators have different practices, different ways of working. So in the end, you cannot expect the license procedure to go exactly the same in every country. That being said, I think what the PSR does is to provide one harmonized framework. So it's not possible anymore for a local regulator to say, well, I'm still applying it differently because it's all prescribed in detail. There will still be a PSD3, which is a directive which needs to be implemented. So there will still be some differences, but we've seen in the past that EBA is also conducting reviews on like authorization practices, providing recommendations, and that in the past has worked in making the differences between different regulators less. So I think it will become better.
Maybe I can add on that also. So the harmonized approach is regarding regulation mostly. What I think is still not going to be harmonized in the next years is the civil law. So there could be differences in civil law, and there could be benefits of being maybe located in the Netherlands instead of Germany, but also in respect of the AML and KYC, especially on how you do the identification. Germany is more strict. For example, in Germany, if you want to do the KYC with your retail customers, you must use either physical identification, post identification, or video identification, which is very costly, whilst I think in the Netherlands and some other European member states you're allowed to do auto identification, where you just make a selfie and you take a picture of your ID, which is much cheaper for the companies. Therefore, I think in this respect we will still see many companies choosing a member state where it's maybe cheaper or where it's easier, rather than taking a country like Germany where it's actually quite expensive.
Thank you. I think we have no question from audience. Our time is nearly finishing, but I have one more question, one small question. Ali Reza is already talk about the BaFin's approach. BaFin is one of the toughest regulator in the Europe as far as we know. I have a chance a little bit work with Dutch Central Bank, as I know Dutch Central Bank is the regulator in Netherlands. What do you think when you compare with BaFin? Dutch Central Bank's a bit more soft, or what do you say?
I think the Dutch regulator in general is not the easiest regulator. It is, however, a very practical regulator, so you can approach them if you have any questions. They speak English. All the documentation can be provided in English, and they have a very good reputation, which really helps. So I think the Netherlands is still a very attractive country for license applications. We have over 500 payment and e-money institutions, which means that the central bank is very well catered to do business, and all of their reporting tools, they're all automatic, where you log into a portal and they give a lot of guidance to the market. So I don't think they're the easiest, but in practice, I think they're very well catered for helping out EMI and payment institutions in obtaining a license, but also maintaining the license. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ari and Ali Reza. Thank you again for coming us, and thank you for our audience for listening us. So hope to see you our next event next year. Thank you.
And we came to the last panel session of the day. Under the moderation of Bora Yılmaz, I would like to invite Suzy Alzera, COO of Bahrain Fintech Bay, and Umar Munshi, founder of Etis Global, to give their speech titled is Decoding Fintech Insights from the Investor's Perspective.
Oh, it's okay. I think okay. So, should we start? Yes. Hello, everyone. It's good to see that still there are people here. I know it's already been too late for you. You are all tired and maybe bored, and it's the last panel right now. We will try our best to keep you not bored and not to, so much tired. We will try our best to have a discussion here. It's not going to be like a speech. We are going to talk about the topics that I'm really interested in hearing, my panel's opinion. So we will start in this respect. Today I have great two panelists coming from a long road here. Thanks for being here. And we will be talking about investment into fintech. Well, personally, my name is Bora Yılmaz. I am an ex-venture capitalist, ex-entrepreneur. Then I've been investing for about last 15 years or something. Now I'm the M&A director for Papara. I am sure that you heard about Papara. Papara is the largest fintech in Turkey right now. And we are super lucky that we have come so long since the inception of the company, and now we are serving more than 19 million people. And an interesting part of this session is that Papara is an uninvested company. It's a bootstrap company. We didn't have any investment, but right now we are going to talk about investments. As I am an investor as well, we are going to be talking in this respect. So today I have two panelists. The first one is Susie.
Hi, everyone.
She's coming from Bahrain. And
It's loud.
Pardon me?
I said it's loud. I'm louder than you are.
Okay. So the interesting part is that she is also a founder. She is an Ironman. She is now managing, is the CEO of Bahrain Fintech Bay, right?
Correct.
Susie, would you like to give an introduction for yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. First of all, I'd really like to thank Todeb and Agora Fintech for inviting me from Bahrain. It's been a great experience so far to see how Turkey is incredible in the payment space and in general in fintech space. I represent Bahrain's national fintech hub, which is very much in the region. I think you guys also have an association similar to Todeb, but we govern all kinds of fintech, from buy now, paid laters to crypto, to you name it. So that's my job, basically, to further develop the fintech ecosystem in Bahrain and in the region. So I work a lot with the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, with Oman, with Qatar. We're all trying to work together and I'm sure you've been hearing a lot of news in the GCC on the further developments of our system. So we're really pushing for it in our region, and it's great to see everyone here and in Turkey in general doing so great. Thank you.
And also we have Umar here. He has many hats. One of them is he is a founder of It's Global, which is a crowdfunding platform. And also he is now a VC, right? He's a managing part for Hassan VC. He just moved to the dark side. So he's going to be in the investment ecosystem. And would you like to introduce yourself, Umar?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's great to be here. And many thanks to the organizers, Totep, for inviting me as well. So my name is Umar Munshi. I'm originally from Singapore. Our company is based in Malaysia. We have business and operations in Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and recently Oman. And what we do is essentially we are an investment or alternative investment company. We match investors, big investors, small investors, any investors who are interested, to companies and businesses. Yeah, so I think that's a quick overview. And the new thing that we have right now is our VC called Hassan VC, which is an early stage VC investing in companies. And while everybody is looking for unicorns, we are looking for camel startups.
Great.
That's the first camel startups. Okay.
I've heard many animals in this ecosystem, but camels is first, right? So, are there any investors here? You can raise hands if you're an investor. Investing into Tesla stock is fine. No? Crypto? Yeah. Okay, minors. Well, investors, I mean the institutional investors, are doing this for living. If you're a retail investor, you can invest into almost anything, like a Tesla stock, crypto, or whatever you want from the open market, from a stock exchange. But if you're a startup investor, you have to be very careful about what you are going to invest. So that's why all startups, even fintech or not, are competing for a limited amount of money, limited amount of investors, so they have to be the best to get that money. But the question here is that everybody's talking about investments, but do the startups need investment? Or in your case, if you are going to start a fintech, do you need to have an investment? Can you do it without an investment?
Yeah, I can start with answers. So in Bahrain Fintech Bay, I'd say almost 95, 99% is our fintechs have no funding. They're all bootstrapped. Now, is it important? Yeah, sure, to scale, to grow, eventually, yes, perhaps you do need it. But in general, it depends on your resources, your goals, your trajectory. And like I said, in Bahrain, most of our fintechs that are in our hub are not funded. We do have big use cases in terms that have been, but we offer, sometimes it's about having the support. So when you have a startup that has an ecosystem, like you have support with, like you said, VCs around, but if they're not VCs around, partnerships, I think that's where a lot of them are making their growth. So it really does depend on your trajectory, on my sense. So not everyone needs to scale. I don't know about Hassan, what you think. Omar, sorry, what you think.
Yeah, I concur with that. I agree. In general, it's always best to raise money only if you really, really need it. And I assume there's some startup founders here who want to understand the days of getting funds to subsidize your business model, getting VC money to make the business work, to acquire customers, those days are past, right? Long past, 2-3 years ago. So today it's about either getting profitable from day one, which is not easy and not necessarily doable for all business models, but it's about having the clear path to profitability or sustainability, and that may or may not require investment. It can be like you pointed out, some smart partnerships that can help you get your initial customers and you can grow from there. But sometimes there would still be a need for investment, especially if you're developing something significant that requires money. Then for that there would still be a need for investment usually.
Did you receive investment at this global?
Well, for us, we've been around for 10 years, so we are an old startup. I didn't have any white hair, white beard last time. But we did get investment, I would say relatively low, lifetime about $4 million. And we raised it mainly from our own supporters, our board members, our advisors. We never raised from VC so far. Although right now I'm wearing a VC hat.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask that. Now you have the VC hat. What is an investor looking for in a fintech company? As you mentioned, everybody's expecting profitability, but at the early stages, it's hard to see the profitability, and fintech is a regulated business, so there are lots of licensing issues, regulations, and all around. What are you looking at when you are selecting your target companies?
All right, so...
And I'm going to ask the same question to Suzy.
Yeah, and I think it'll be good to hear from you as well, right?
Yeah. Please do so. Please.
So when I look at fintechs in my mind, I divide it into 3 parts, right? One, fintech players that are developing new technology, new variations of existing technology. So that's more of an R&D based fintech, right? Then there are fintechs that are implementing new technologies, and there are fintechs that are using existing technologies in new markets, in new sectors, in new niche markets, and so on. So basically just using what's already there and implementing it elsewhere, right? Of course, there's overlaps, and some companies do all 3. So for each of these fintech, we look at different things, right? For the ones that's trying to disrupt and create new technology, then it's a lot to do with the technical capability and the problem you're trying to solve, right? Is there really a need for this new thing or not, right? And as you go down the line towards the other types of fintechs, it's more about whether there is a market for it and whether they're able to serve that market and grow in that market, whether they're able to find and prove the demand for what they do. Yeah, so that's a very simple way how I think about it.
You?
So with ours, just to let everyone to know, is that we don't actually invest ourselves in fintechs. We have VC partners, which maybe you would like to join eventually. We have partners that we do funnel things to. But what we think about in terms of the region on what drives fintechs, as you said, market share, all of that's that, but also if you're solving a real problem that exists. So when we see the trends that are coming, such as buy now, pay later, microfinance in general, open banking, in our part of the world, very much crypto, it's where these fintechs get invested where the regulations first are already, and where there's appetite for it in the market. Like you said, having market an appetite for the fintechs. So we don't actually invest ourselves.
How do you see the market? Because fintech term just emerged, let's say, not more than 10 years ago, and everybody was talking about the unbundling of bank. Like banks were doing everything, and they were doing it as a sum. Then every vertical, each and different vertical became a different fintech, and every founder thought that if I own a vertical, then I can make a unicorn out of it, and some of them made out of it. But now, I think there's a transition from unbundling of bank to rebundling as a bank. All fintechs are trying to become the next bank or bank similar, or owning multiple verticals under one umbrella. Do you see the same change in your markets?
Yeah, I mean, there are still those that want to specialize, and I think there's definitely still a need for specialization. For example, in insurtech, right? Because the dynamics of insurance is very different from everything else, right? If you are developing a new model for insurance based on new technology or even existing technology, then that's a very specialized area. But for many fintechs, as they scale, and some they have the model from day one, is they want to build an ecosystem and they want to serve everyone. They want to have all the products, all the services, right? And to me, while we can see that happening, we also know that embedded finance, APIs, will change that entire approach, right? Because you don't need to have all your products. Doesn't make sense for you to own every single product, because you can just pull another product into your ecosystem. Yeah.
And I also agree with that. And I think that since COVID especially highlighted is that you see that, yes, everybody wants to do everything, but the truth is you're not good at everything. So we have fintechs that are integrators of other fintechs that have the solutions that, it's like there's a lot, especially in the Middle East, there's nobody working on their own. There's like 6, 7 providers of one thing. You can't be, I know we all want this super app, super this, super that. You can't, I mean, you can't be good at everything. It doesn't go that way. And you need to partner with people that can do what you can, it's a harder course to do. So I do agree, I do agree with what you're saying. I think the partnerships that we've seen growing more and more, like for example, Binance partnering with one of our payments gateways, they have constant partnerships, and you're good at what you do, so what are you doing? And that's my opinion. I don't think you can be good at everything.
When you're talking about the super apps, this and that, I think it's the worst approach to start a fintech as start being a super app. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, you can eventually do very good things, but you have to start somewhere, and you have to be solving a real problem. Whether you said it's, access to finance for a lot of people, that's a huge thing in the part of the world. The unbanked, not being able to have a bank account. These are problems, and then you solve them. You're doing that, and you're doing open banking, and you're doing, you're doing it all. So yeah, that's a very good point.
But maybe one perspective I can share, which I observe in our part of the world, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, because the population is large. In Turkey, the population is large as well. So there are companies that have a roadmap to becoming a fintech, but they start with something else first, which makes it easy for them to acquire users, right? And then when they have that large base of users, then they add in the fintech element and become a fintech. So that's another way.
I mean, it's funny because if you think about it that way, everyone's got to have a payment. So you're all kind of a bit of a fintech. But in that sense, yeah, that's true. You develop that after, right? That makes sense.
Everybody is going to be a fintech one day, for sure. This is eventually will happen. It seems so. And all the API providers, all the guys who are enabling those will benefit for that, including the open banking and everything. But still, I think this is my perspective actually. I think the perception of fintech is changing in the world as well. The interest is changing or downsizing in terms. What I mean is, people are thinking that if you have a business, whatever it is, and you can make it a fintech by just adding some transactional elements into it, like, I don't know, processing power, maybe simple cards in it, and then you become a fintech. And I think it just, how may I call, it has an effect on investors' appetite as well. So some of the investors are thinking this is so simple to do, so they shouldn't be investing into that because there's no mode for competition, and it's going to be there's no competition advantage in that, so they shouldn't be investing. Or they think that it's so super simple, so anyone will do it in a day, so they are going to lose money, or it's not going to be scaling enough. Do you agree with me that the interest is not as big as before from the investor's perspective?
Do you mean the fintech investment as a whole?
Yes.
So I mean, I can only speak for our part of the world. I mean, I'm sure you also hear there is a lot of investment in the UAE. There's a lot of investment in Saudi Arabia. Is heavily investing into fintech. I do see that there could be a shift in some areas, but I still see that as a highly, attractive, despite that shift in the trends. We're seeing it all the time. I think that, what they're looking for, when you think about what are investors looking for, they're looking for, people who are basically have a solid solution. In the Middle East in general, we're seeing a lot more, superiority between Saudi Arabia and UAE. There is a lot more fintech investment. I don't know what you think, Omer, in terms of what you're seeing, because you're already in this area. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. So again, in my mind, I like to box things up a little bit. So there are fintechs, and these are the most of the fintechs I believe today that are doing well. They capture the market fast because they find a market gap. They pull solutions together that, or they develop solutions that people want, and they capture a large audience quickly, right? So that is one way in which a fintech becomes valuable because it has either the first mover advantage or the faster mover advantage. Now, the other kind of fintechs that we look at are fintechs that create new value or do stuff that's very difficult to do. Because when you figure out how to crack something that's very difficult, then there's value there. For example, providing microfinance. Right? All countries around the world, they want their micro enterprises, SMEs to get funded. So a fintech that is developing, for example, psychometric analysis for small business owners, right? To
it's like something different,
code.
Right? Something exceptionally different.
It's difficult. Yeah. It's very difficult, right? Or like what we're trying to do in Indonesia, where we provide microfinance to small and medium enterprises, is very difficult. We will definitely fail a lot along the way and have to learn along the way. So on one hand, one type of fintech that's investable are those that find, I wouldn't say easy, but easier solution, but they run quickly with it, right? And people use it. And the other one would be those who develop something new, innovative, and difficult, and other people obviously want that, right? So this fintech can then potentially partner with that fintech, because that fintech has the masses. This fintech has this unique value. Yeah.
That's a very interesting point, actually.
Well, from that perspective, I think, including Turkey itself and your regions as well, the value comes from that there are lots of missing elements in the industry, and fintechs will solve those problems for sure. Microfinance, payments rails, even crypto or whatever they are. It's going to happen, and people need it, and financial inclusion is very low. And this creates a huge opportunity for anyone, any investor, any founder, any startup idea. But still, our geographies face the difficulties of attracting investment from other side of the world. I'm not going to call them better side of the world, but still richer side of the world. So in this respect, startup ecosystem, as we all know, is residing in San Francisco, London, Berlin, and these hubs. We are trying to be a hub as well as Istanbul and Bahrain as well, and Singapore, Malaysia. They are all trying to be their own hubs in their regions. But still, we are struggling to intrigue or attract investors to bring those valuable dollars here. What's missing here? The opportunity is here, the talent is here. What's missing?
So, I mean, I can only speak for our region, It's not easy to convince New World investors to invest in Bahrain or in these kinds of solutions. We have success, but basically the funding is limited and the valuations are low, at least I can say from our side. For Bahrain, I guess, you know, when we think about our geographics, you can say that what we stand out in is strategic partnerships we've made with the region, with regional hubs and so on. And also, basically, the government is pushing very strong to create us as a regional hub to attract fintechs. Now, I think the regulations in Bahrain makes it very strong, so having that also attracts people. Like you're saying about, you know, investors also want, you know, you want to basically invest in also someone that might be regulated perhaps, you know, and move into that way. We think about two big companies that have made it in Bahrain, the crypto space, believe it or not. Bahrain is the first to regulate a crypto asset exchange. They have 220 million funding they got, that the rain, and they operate in Turkey as well. And basically, you know, there is a potential growth, but it's untapped. That's what I feel in terms of the region. And you see it with Saudi Arabia and UAE, but also, you know, also you want to, you know, so I'll let you continue what you say, but basically I do believe still positiveness about the region, at least the Gulf region.
Yep. I can share a little bit of perspective from our side of the world, the East, Southeast Asian part of the world. But to address a point that you highlighted just now, you mentioned the new world money, right? Like it or not, I mean, at the broadest level, the West or the US, they create and control money today, right? Fiat money, right? They create and control money. So to some extent, there will always be this control consideration, right? So if they were to invest in general, right? I'm just making a very broad observation here. In the emerging world, we need to have our own alternative in terms of getting capital, right? And there is money, and maybe it's not as big as the huge VCs in Silicon Valley and the West, but there is money, and there are pockets of money, and sometimes it's not just about the money, it's about where the money comes from. So, for example, we are a crowdfunding company. That's how we started. In Malaysia, we have equity crowdfunding. In Indonesia, we have lending or P2P crowdfunding. So money comes from the people, from the masses. And there's a lot of value there when you have a few hundred people supporting your company, right? Because they are invested in your company. Now, conversely, let's say in Turkey, there are big business groups, families. A lot of them are maybe a little bit old school, right? Not so used to new stuff. But if they see, if they see the value of these emerging companies, they can be very good strategic investors as well, right? Because the fintechs can then serve that sort of old school ecosystem, and that can give you enough scale already to be successful and to grow from there, right? So I think we gotta stop thinking so much of we need, you know, Western VC money because it has dried up anyway, right? And there are other ways to activate and gain good capital from our own ecosystems.
And like you said, it's the same in Bahrain. Like a lot of the fintechs are invested by their board or by the you know, I mean, sadly, family or like a board or you know, someone in the ecosystem. It's not, like you said, it's not the new world and it's not the money that's coming from abroad. So, but we're seeing a shift in that as well because we're seeing a lot of VCs and studios coming to Bahrain as well. So
great to hear that. Great to hear that. Because if the blue chips start coming, then everybody start investing because investment or investing is kind of contagious. Everybody is looking for some other first mover, risk taker, and then they follow the herd. Otherwise, they are so hesitant to do something. Even they call themselves risk capital, but their appetite to get risk is a bit, you know, not that much. But still, I'm traveling all around the geography. I'm going there, this, and south, east, west, whatever. What I see is that great fintechs, great startups with great founders who took from 0 to 1 in very tough days, in very tough environments. But then their numbers are solid, they're growing, but they are judged with very low multiples in terms of investments, in terms of valuation, in terms of even exits. And I don't feel that it's fair. But at the end, if you're a buyer, it's fantastic. Because if you're a buyer, everything is cheap. But if you're a seller, you have to think twice to sell it. So, do you think that it can change in time, or we should adjust our expectations as founders or startup owners for low multiples? What do you think?
Right. Well, I mean, there's no straightforward answer, I guess, but we need to acknowledge that the world has changed and will continue to change. The dynamics, the chemistry in terms of the ecosystem, I mean, every country is different, but it's all changing, right? So when we talk about investors, as I mentioned, there are alternative or different, not the typical VC investors. Because VCs, it's in some sense usually an exclusive club. They invest in their own circles and so on, right? I mean, that's just the way it is typically. But maybe I just want to highlight a point that I shared earlier about camel startups, right?
Explain that one.
And I think it's a very appropriate name because a camel, if you do some research on camels, I spent some time understanding camels. Camels have very unique features that make them or allow them to be very resilient. Who else can survive in a desert and carry people and carry things and go across the desert for days? No other mammal can do that, right? So a camel can survive in the toughest conditions. But when there's an opportunity, when there's water, the camel can drink all the water very quickly, right? It can really take advantage of the opportunity. And when there's a problem, when there's danger, camels can run very fast. Yeah? So that's why I like to use this analogy of a camel startup. A startup that can survive in the toughest conditions, but when there's an opportunity, it can move fast. When there's a risk, it can also move fast. Yeah? As opposed to a unicorn where it doesn't exist, right?
I'm going to steal that from you, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, please do
From
so.
now,
I'll send you an infographic.
because that is very true. I think that's what you're seeing more of. You're seeing people hanging on, and if they can survive and they take what they can take, then they go. But the foundation needs to be good as well. It needs to be really, really serving the problem.
Okay. I like this camel analogy. Actually,
We'll both steal it.
Pardon me?
You can
Yeah, I
take
can. I'm going to steal it with proud. And I was calling the founders as cockroaches because cockroach can survive in a nuclear attack. But camel is a better analogy.
It's kinder.
it's definitely kinder. But still, there has to be a reason to endure, to try that hard. Sometimes it's for money, sometimes it's for fame as an entrepreneur. But for those to happen, even money or fame or whatever you are expecting, there has to be exits. There has to be an end game, or I don't know, maybe there hasn't to be an end game, and you have to have your company for 20 years ahead. So what's the exit climate in your geographies?
Right. I think this is just a few days ago, there was a big event in Malaysia called KL20, where Malaysia is aiming to be in the top 20 startup hubs around the world, near the number 50 something, right? So we had a very good roundtable session with VCs, and the host was from 500 startups. I think they have 500 here as well, right? Kylie. So he was saying, we need to drop the Silicon Valley model because it doesn't work everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And those days
there's no one size fits all, right?
Yeah, I mean, all countries are different. So when it comes to exit, we need to think about it differently as well. You don't, from the investor point of view, right? We always, when you look at how VCs and angels work, we invest in a portfolio. We assume, 60, 70% will die, 20% will survive, and 10% or 5% will make it super big, and that's where we get the money. So VCs are only interested in those few. The rest, all it doesn't matter, written off, right? But today, I don't think that is, it doesn't work anymore, basically. Right? Those days are past, and I don't think it would ever really work, or even 5 years ago in other parts of the world. right? We need to look at companies that can really create value, and the exit may not be 100x, 200x. The exit could be 5x, 10x. And if you have a portfolio of companies and half of them have a 5x exit, it's still a good return,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, I'm just listening to you. I'm not part of the investment thing, but when we talk about, when you're saying things are changing, I'm seeing so many, because we deal with family offices and wealth tech, them lowering their investment, like they used to accept a certain amount, now they're lowering it. The investors themselves are getting younger and want to invest only in the good things, investing for the good. So everything's changing, from the perception to what people want in the market. You don't want to buy something. In the old days, you were stuck. The amount of money that you want to invest. Do you need money? It's just, there are a lot of changes in the way society is going, and it's not like, it's no longer the cookie cutter, approach of investment,
Please.
Sorry. And this point of doing good, I think that's a very critical thing, because there's so many problems today. The world today is full of problems, right? Everywhere you go, you hear, you read, you see problems. So a founder who is really trying to solve a problem to make society better, to help humanity, those are the founders that should get the investment, in my view.
Yeah, I agree a lot with that, because I see the youth, I see it from a wealth tech, and now with one of the family offices in Bahrain, the people that are making the money are younger. You have all these people that have made it in crypto or whatever, they're getting younger, and they want to invest in products that are for the good. So, and I agree, they need the investment too, because, it's a difficult road. I think it's even more of a difficult road doing something that, it's not as I don't know your thoughts, but I know there are quite a few in your area that are doing great work in terms of investing in the good.
I think we are closing with a nice point here, that everything is going to change. It's changing already, and one size fits all doesn't fit us, definitely us. I mean, the regions and the investors here, the founders here, has to be aware that they are living in a different environment, and they should adjust their expectations according to these markets conditions. So what I see is that we lost 10-20% of the audience, which is fantastic, during the talk.
It's the end of the day. I mean, bless you for staying.
Thank you again very much for being here, for listening us till the end, and thank you both of you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you both and talk to you both, and thank you again, Todeb, for inviting us.
Thank you, everybody.